What's up, everybody? I'm Jason Visenberg.
And I'm Michael Visenberg.
Welcome to Viseland NCAA Tournament Edition. Exciting weekend. We just got the selection show. The tournament is happening this year, so that's already 100% improvement over what we saw a year ago.
Yes. Definite improvement. We passed the 1 year mark of when things kind of went down with COVID-19 in the United States. And we did not have an NCAA tournament last year. We can only imagine what would have happened in the NCAA tournament last year. So it will be nice, and we're hoping everything goes very well in Indiana. Definitely things a little different this year in terms of scheduling. We just wanted to kind of shut that out.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. It's not the traditional Thursday, like Tuesday play-ins and then Thursday, Friday, round of 64, Saturday, Sunday. It's not like, yeah, it's Friday.
Let's break down the schedule, Jace. The first four is all on Thursday. So it'll be on Thursday, March 18th.
In Indiana, not in Dayton, as per tradition, usual tradition. It's in Dayton, but obviously
everything's in Indiana, so I don't think we really need to get into that. I know they're in different parts of Indiana, but yeah, we don't really care about that whole thing because there will be limited fan interaction. The first round starts on Friday, March 19th and Saturday, March 20th. The second round will be Sunday, March 21st and Monday, March 22nd, all across TBS, CBS, TNT, and True TV. The Sweet 16 will start on Saturday and Sunday, March 27th and March 28th. And the Elite Eight will be on weekdays, so it'll be Monday and Tuesday. And then the usual, so Monday, March 29th, Tuesday, March 30th. And the usual will apply with the Final Four in the National Championship. Final Four will be on Saturday, April the 3rd on CBS. And the finals will be Monday, April the 5th at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's the only time we care about here, Viseland. 9 o'clock Eastern Standard.
And yeah, plus 3, and then do the math for your time zone, respectively.
So yeah, April the 5th is when hopefully this whole thing will end and we will have an NCAA champion.
And hopefully we'll be satisfied with who that champion is. But
yeah, we can definitely hope. I think there's an absolute favorite, or at least a couple favorites if you're choosing them. But we're expecting some crazy things to happen this year. As much as usually the analytics tend to favor the favorites.
Yeah.
Every once in a while you see a team and you're like, this is the team that has a formula I really like, or something along those lines. So we're just going to kind of go over the bracket with you, go over each region, give you some NBA prospects to look at, and give you some things to look at for the NCAA tournament this year in 2021.
And just as a preface, if you are gambling on the tournament, don't necessarily use our picks here. We can't guarantee we're going to make you money.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. So Jason yesterday called me during the NCAA selection show that I decided not to watch. I try not to watch as little bracketology as possible. I find that, first off, I never would go with them 100%, because if you go with them 100%, you will be wrong. I want to be right. I want to be as right as possible. I'm not getting there either. You could be like, obviously, like you have a guy like Ken Pomeroy or some brilliant mathematician who comes up with formulas and everything like that. It's a single game. Yeah. Things are going to happen. Teams are not necessarily going to play their average basketball. Sometimes they may play a lot worse. Sometimes they may play better. But it's in this single game format. That's why it's March Madness. That's why all these things happen. A player can have an amazing game. You could be missing players. We're really not sure. Right now, there are some favorite teams who are missing crucial pieces to their team.
Coming off, pretty long breaks.
I don't know.
Not good reason.
But yeah. To an extent. Yeah, you're right with a few teams that basically had to miss some games in their conference tournament. But yeah, they it could get wild. And especially, with the the limited fans with everything. We're not sure if that's going to favor the favorites, or we're going to be as surprised as all of you. So don't call them Viseland expert picks, but just call them Viseland educated guess picks.
Yes. Correct. Yeah, we haven't seen the spoiler results yet for the NCAA tournament. So
I wish I had a Back to the Future 2, almanac guide. I wish, but I do not. And if I did, I probably wouldn't tell you, but I don't. So yeah, I'm just kind of going to use here. ESPN actually has a cool feature for people in that have ESPN Plus. And it's kind of like a bracket predictor or bracket. What's it called? It's the exact name is it is called the bracket predictor.
They're not that creative at ESPN there.
Yeah, it's a prediction, but that doesn't necessarily make it a fact. But nonetheless, it's just gives us a few stats. But we're just going to kind of go over the round of 64. We're just kind of break down the tournament as we go forward. And as we progress, we're going to give you a few names to look at, a few teams that might be poised for upsets, and just give you our general opinion on how our brackets are looking at the very least. And it's been a while since I've had a good bracket. I won't lie. It's
sometimes it's hit and miss. It's one day at a time.
I think it's been a while since I've even chosen the champ right. Yeah, I try and go out there. I usually have a team I choose at the beginning of the year, and sometimes that team lets me down.
Well, it's hard. The last little, really one of the last times too. It's like you have Virginia who loses to a 16 the year before.
Oh yeah,
I had no
break.
Yeah, I base it a lot off prior grudge as well. But starting off, we are gonna look at
Virginia the year before, absolute bracket killer.
Yeah.
Granted, they were missing DeAndre Hunter, but they destroyed many a bracket that year before. Yes, I think you do kind of at times begrudge the team that destroyed your bracket.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just gonna go through. Jason's gonna make a few picks. And we're just gonna kind of use this bracket predictor and maybe see what's going on here. So yeah, we're gonna start. Let's start with our favorite region, the Viseland region. We feel of the NCAA tournament this year, and that is the West region for many a reason. First off, it has the team that is I would say absolute favorite in the NCAA tournament this year. They come into the tournament 26-0. They so only I think they're okay. Well, yeah, they're at least the only undefeated team in all of NCAA basketball. There are a few teams that only have one loss, but many of those have only played one game or haven't really played too many major teams. But Gonzaga is the team that I think is the overwhelming favorite this year in the tournament. They have at least a few players that are going to be on the All-American team. They have Corey Kispert, who was the WCC Player of the Year. Jalen Suggs, one of the best freshmen in the nation. Their leading scorer, I believe, still is Drew Timme. Yeah. And he'll be an All-American on one of the teams. Joel Ayayi has been great the past few years there. And they moved Andrew Nembhard into the starting lineup, was a 2-year starter at Florida, spent most of the season coming off of the bench, but now they're kind of going with the 3-guard lineup, Kispert at the 4 and Timme at the 5, still having Anton Watson play a decent amount off the bench as well. So yeah, let's just pencil Gonzaga in. They do have they play the winner of what will be a play-in game, and the play-in is Norfolk State versus
Appalachian State. Which a lot of people wanted that to be Michigan, because Michigan and Appalachian State had a football mix-up a number of years ago where Appalachian State beat Michigan when Michigan was ranked pretty high in the top 25. But yeah, I think Gonzaga, first round not going to be a problem for Gonzaga. Like definitely one of the deeper teams that is.
If Gonzaga were to lose in the first round of the NCAA tournament after going undefeated for the season with like a good non-conference schedule, mind you, that would just be absolutely. Before Virginia lost to UMBC, University of Maryland, Baltimore County, for those that don't know, 16 had never beaten a 1, and you just would pretty much throw them ahead. And now we kind of think about that at times, but yeah, we're pretty confident here.
The depth of Gonzaga's.
Yes. So Oklahoma, Missouri. Oklahoma has a couple good upperclassmen with Austin Reeves, Brady Manick. They are pretty much the favorite here. Missouri had a better strength of schedule.
Yeah, they beat West Virginia twice. They beat Kansas. They beat Texas. They beat Abilene. So they have some pretty, decent, I guess, like Q1 wins.
Yes. What about Missouri?
Missouri, they beat Illinois like super, super early. And then they beat Arkansas. They beat Alabama.
Who was another team that they beat?
I don't have their full schedule.
The University of Oregon in our first game of the year.
Oh, yeah. I try to forget those losses.
And let me just say, Missouri looked pretty damn good. They have a couple Smiths. They have Mark Smith. They have Drew Smith. They're not a bad little team. So, yeah, I tend to I don't know. I guess maybe this could be. It's partially me not believing in Oklahoma, and that could be because I saw them lose twice quite recently to Cade Cunningham and Oklahoma State, who are, of course, one of the better ranked teams in the tournament. Xavier Pinson too, man, tough dude. I personally went with Missouri here, but
Oklahoma's been 0-4 regular season finish, so that's pretty not going in on the best of footing. So but again, it's like one of those. The 8-9 is such a toss up because you look at a lot of their statistics throughout the season. It's like super close.
Yeah, like most 8-9s, it is really close, and they have Oklahoma as being a 1.5 point favorite. I'm penciling in Missouri. I'm going with Mizzou. I think the Tigers got this. Now, I will tell you something that I'm kind of interested in doing that ESPN tells me is a really bad idea. And that is having Cal Santa Barbara over Creighton. Now, I think partly why the reason I want them over Creighton. I'm guessing that might be the reason you might want them over Creighton.
Yeah, it's a little bit of it's hard to not taking anything out on those players, but the coach, you kind of just want him to
exactly.
You kind of want him to see.
Marcus Zagorowski's always been a guy that I've really enjoyed.
He's big Big player.
They have some other Christian Bishop, Denzel Mahoney. Creighton has some nice players. UCSB has some interesting talent as well.
Also hot. 15-16 in their last
yeah
games. They got Ja'Cory McLaughlin was Big West Player of the Year.
Yeah. Former Oregon State player, Ja'Cory McLaughlin. And yeah, the other thing UCSB has is they have Miles Norris, former Oregon Duck. So Oregon State, Oregon coming together. Miles Norris has been kind of their he's averaging 0.9 blocks per game, but he was a really good athlete. He was actually a player I was kind of looking forward to seeing develop. Amadou Sow, who used to play for Prolific Prep.
He's got 13 and 7, I think, in the regular season. I don't know what he did.
DeVril Ramsey, who played for Nevada, and they have another transfer in Josh Pierre-Louis, who played for Temple. And you know what? I'm going with my gut on this one.
You going with the Gauchos?
I'm going with the Gouch.
you know, gotta give it up for the Big West. There's some pretty cool schools in that league, and it's like one of those situations of just getting some pretty solid transfers and seeing what they could do. But yeah, Creighton, again, still a good team, but yeah, obviously not rooting for McDermott over there. So not gonna fully disagree with that. But then the next matchup is interesting.
Just 1 second. I'm gonna tell you why they hate Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara is like one of the worst offensive rebounding teams out of any of the NCAA tournament teams. So they're really going in hard on that one. But I'm going with Gouch anyway.
Hey,
Yes, now continue.
At 12 beats a 5. But yeah, next matchup is going to be interesting. We got Virginia coming off a bit of a lull with the 4 seed against Ohio, who had like tons of buzz early in the year, the MAC champs. Like they barely lost to Illinois. Like that was insanely close game. I think it was like a 2-point game earlier in the year. But yeah, Virginia, they've had some interesting, games. They've lost to quite a good number of ranked teams. They lost to Gonzaga by 23. They lost to Florida State by 20. So like those aren't necessarily very endearing, trustworthy statistics that you're really going to rely heavily on there. And they are coming off a bit of a COVID break. So I don't know what effect that's going to have on their team if everybody's at capacity. So what is your thought in this game? Because again, Jason Preston had buzz early in the year. Definitely someone that still kind of has a little cachet there as someone to kind of watch. So what's your kind of feeling on this matchup?
I everything you're saying is very true. It's hard for me to really fault the COVID break that they had. I guess it might have thrown off their practice schedule, but basically it was like missing the conference tournament.
It's just like who was affected by, like, it's more like who was affected by it, and like what that is, not like as a gross punishment, but like, yeah, Kihei Clark, still there. It seems like it's his 15th year, but
yeah. And obviously, they got a huge transfer in Sam Hauser. Trey Murphy has been a guy who has been on the NBA radar. They're one of the better 3-point shooting teams in the nation as well. And while I think Ohio is a good team, Jason Preston obviously has like this statistical profile that is very, very impressive, and just really knows how to read the game also. I'm sure he's going to make some noise. I still think Virginia is my favorite here. I would choose Virginia. They are 7.5-point favorites, and it does seem to favor them. The one thing with Jason Preston that I was a little surprised with is he had shot over 70% from the free throw line, as a freshman and sophomore. This year, shooting 58.5%. Shooting well from 3, but nonetheless, it was a little surprising. They do have some help for him as well. But I think I'll favor Virginia in this one. In the 4-13.
And then we got, in the 6, we got USC playing a play-in between Wichita State and Drake.
I wanted to talk about the play-in for a second.
Yeah.
And Wichita State has a couple transfers that came in. Wichita State actually kind of a cool story after the whole Greg Marshall deal.
Yeah.
Drake is missing a couple of their best players. And I don't know if you remember this guy at all. He played for Wisconsin Green Bay. His name was Shaquan Hemphill, known as Tank. He dunked on Kenny Wooten so hard.
I remember when we played that.
Tank Hemphill has been hurt for a really long time. He was their leading scorer. He was Drake's leading scorer. I think their third leading scorer, Roman Penn, also hurt. So, yeah, that could lean in Wichita State's favor there. I'm going with USC. I think, having Evan Mobley, who is a likely right now, I would say he's the favorite to go second in the NBA draft. He's going to be a first or second team All-American this year. And USC has some, I would say, some senior leadership as well, not to mention Evan Mobley's older brother, Isaiah. I think USC could be an actual team here. And they did Colorado just seemed to have their number, but yeah, I could see USC making a little bit of noise in this particular section of the bracket.
Yeah, and then coming up, who they would play. We got Kansas going against Big Sky champions, Eastern Washington. Kansas, I think their McCormick is out. They obviously just came off, a bit of a break as well.
Yes.
Coming at the 3.
Kansas seems to be a lot realer in the terms of the break.
Yeah.
Not only is David McCormack and I think David McCormack and Tristan Anaruna both had COVID-19. So they're tentative. I've heard that. Oh, what?
I think they said McCormick's out. At least that's what I'd heard. So who knows?
I heard he could possibly come back later, but yes, I think he is out right now. One player that I have heard is out as well is Jalen Wilson. And that really, like with McCormack, Jalen Wilson, and Tristan Anaruna, that really hurts your front court depth. Now, in terms of Eastern Washington,
they're an up-tempo team, but they're also a high turnover up-tempo team, which doesn't help you, if you get in a little bit of a hole against a team like Kansas.
Yeah. And yeah, I felt like, so we played them.
Yeah, they lost to the Ducks by 17.
Yes.
But they had a close one against Arizona. They only lost by 3. So those were their 2 biggest games against Pac-12 teams.
Not loving the odds.
Yeah, it's still not looking good for Eastern Washington.
Yeah.
And again, that's kind of
I'm liking Kansas, even with the depleted roster. If they have guys like Myles Garrett, Ochai or Ochai Obaji, they still have players. And Kansas is one of those teams that could maybe even use like a Mitch Lightfoot or somebody like that to come in and play some minutes. Oh, Christian Braun as well. So yeah, they I at least like them to get that first win against Eastern Washington.
Yeah, in the 3-14, you hope they can. I mean, Kansas obviously they've let people down, and
I mean there's no hoping for me, but yeah.
And then the 7-10, we got Oregon coming in VCU. So obviously, it's going to be a tough match for the Ducks.
It's going to be what?
A tough match because again, VCU run and gun full court press.
Yeah. I don't think it is. I think Oregon has this one. Nashawn Bones Highland is a star player in the NCAA and can really shoot the ball as well. Vince Williams also, was a good player in EYBL and has built into a good player. Those are like their 2 shooters though. And I just don't think they have a ton else going on there. I like the Ducks' chances here. Like, I think the Ducks small ball could do really well. Obviously, with Oregon, it comes down to just keeping players out of foul trouble since they have little to no depth.
Yeah.
But I don't think VCU has tons of depth.
And they also don't have anyone like insanely big either. So it's not like they create that matchup difference for the Ducks where it's like they do have a center. So luckily,
I think Levi Stockard is like a big dude, and they have like a couple like big guys, but yeah, nobody like who's enormous presence in the middle, I would say.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm liking Oregon's chances. We're moving them ahead.
Well, you know how I always feel. Yeah. Because then if the Ducks lose, I always feel it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I always pick the Ducks for everything. But
I cheer for them no matter what. But if I see a bad matchup for them, I'm gonna be straight up.
Oh, I drink so much Kool-Aid. It's I have no idea what's what. But yeah, no,
yeah.
So if you actually want to win a bracket, then yeah, you have to be use your mind, but me, it's like sometimes.
You don't always do that though.
No, I usually sometimes I'll do
I feel like you have as much faith in Oregon as I do this year, which I think we'll see just how much. And
that'll get tested.
Round.
Bottom of the bracket, Iowa, Grand Canyon University. Much love. Is Dan Marley still their coach?
No,
it's Bryce Drew is now their coach. So shows how much I've been keeping up with them. But yeah, I got to tell you, Luka Garza, good luck. So Iowa is going to go.
Like we're saying, Luka Garza, as we spoke recently about Wooden Award winners, their teams have tended to go pretty far in the tournament, which means that Luka Garza is like bound to crash, right?
Not in the first round.
I'm with you too. And I feel like it's gonna keep going this year. I actually think Iowa's a pretty damn good team. Like they've always been a pretty impressive team to me. I know a lot of people are a little down on Iowa, but yeah, and they lost Jack Nungy, who was a really good backup big for them. But yeah, they shoot exceptionally well. They have a guy in Joe Wieskamp, who I think is a legit NBA prospect as well, with Luka Garza. And just some great shooting, and Jordan Bohannon, CJ Frederick. And another guy that like really has popped to me every time I've watched him is Keegan Murray. So another player to keep an eye on. He's a freshman. He's a little bit older, but yeah, I think he's just a good player. So yeah,
Big Ten is super out. The deeper you keep digging into your the brackets and looking at it, Big Ten was pretty solid this year. So
I know I've gone mostly chalk here, but I'm going with Iowa. And let's move on to the East.
You got Michigan as the number one, and they will face either the winner of Texas Southern. I know what's the other.
Mount St. Mary's.
Mount St. Mary's.
Yes.
The Mounts. But yeah, I don't
think Mount St. Mary's is projected to win the play-in.
Okay.
Michigan obviously fell a little bit short of the Big Ten championship. They have a player who is gaining lottery buzz in Franz Wagner, who great defender, just does so many of the little things, not to mention is upped his 3-point shooting to 38.4%. So yeah, he was it was egregious that he was left off of the all Big Ten defensive team. And then they have a really important player who has been a long time role guy for them, Isaiah Livers, and he's out indefinitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, they still do have a nice depth. Not to mention one of the best freshmen in the NCAA in center Hunter Dickinson, who has definitely exceeded my expectations. One thing I will say, and I don't know if I'm pretty sure I probably brought this up on the show before. Hunter Dickinson went up against Evan Mobley in high school last year and got the better of him, though he went up against Scotty Barnes, and Scotty Barnes got the better of him, not to mention Montverde being a tremendous team. It just seems like Hunter Dickinson is one of those guys who is slow, but is a killer in the post, enormous, 7'2", knows how to score. So yeah, he's been really good. They have the play of Eli Brooks and Mike Smith, Shondi Brown, who was from Wake Forest coming off the bench. And Brandon Johns too. He's always played a little bit of a rollover his few years at Michigan. So yeah, I let's pencil Michigan in.
Yeah, the 116. It's hard. It's hard to go against. But of course, now we're coming up. We got the 8-9. It's LSU, St. Bonaventure.
Yes.
LSU, had a pretty good little run there in the SEC tournament.
They did. Really close.
St. Bonaventure is also interesting, but some things with them, they're pretty much only 5 deep, which again, not great in a tournament situation.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's kind of a slower tempo as well. So, if they can really gain and maintain control, that's great. But again, if you're trying to make it come back, slow tempos, not really going to help out there.
Yeah. I do like their starting five a lot. But yeah, LSU, Cam Thomas, one of the leading scoring freshmen in the NCAA this year, and a guy who was playing great in the SEC tournament was Trendon Watford. Not to mention Javonte Smart has been there for 3 years now. Darius Days is a monster and kind of like a big man for them as well. And then they're not like exceedingly deep either, but they have like some really nice role players. So yeah, I think while it is a close matchup, they're only predicted on the bracket predictor to win by 1.5 points. And St. Bonaventure does have a 16-4 record.
But they haven't really. They haven't played any top 25 teams. LSU has, but they're 2-5. But yeah, so it's like
I'm with you.
It's one of those words. It's hard to know, like, really what the because again, like they don't like St. Bonaventure obviously didn't get probably full non-conference slate that they would have probably liked.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would probably give tip to LSU just to. Because again, I think the way they played in the SEC tournament was pretty strong. So hopefully they can kind of ride that momentum.
I'm with you, man. So yeah, we have a team that all of a sudden is showing why March is mad. And that is the Georgetown Hoyas, who not only won the Big East, but like kind of destroyed it.
I think it was Patrick Ewing being pissed off that the people at Madison Square Garden didn't know who he was.
That certainly was part of it. I think
that was the fire.
That certainly was part of it. They their path there, they beat Marquette 68-49. They beat Villanova 72-71. That was an incredibly close game. The foul at the end won them the game. They beat Seton Hall 68-58. And then they proceed to beat the Daylights out of Creighton in the final 73-48. They are a 13-12 team on the year.
No, totally. They bump out a Louisville. They bump out some other, they got one of those, there
was one less. Yeah. There was one less, like, kind of at-large team. Yeah, they definitely busted somebody's hopes in the bubble. But yeah, I'm thinking Colorado has the advantage here.
I mean, McKinley Wright in his like 40th year of college. Yeah. And then also they have like
incredibly successful college career.
Oh, totally. And
they have a couple other upperclassmen, Dryhorn, Evan Batty, Deshaun Schwartz, who I feel has always kind of been a bit of an underachiever. They have Samaki Walker's son, Jabari Walker, has been a great freshman for them this year. Another senior big, Dallas Walton. I'm liking the apparent cream of the crop in the
Pac-12. Yeah, I guess not winning the regular season or postseason somehow can get you a higher seed. Then
they beat USC 3 times.
Yeah,
I think that was the big thing there. Split with Oregon. Yeah, and
they have. I guess they're 7-0 on quadrant 2 wins for basketball, index. So
they did play better than Oregon did against Oregon State in the Pac-12 tournament as well.
Yeah,
that's one thing I'll say for them. So yeah, they're 4.5-point favorites. Giving that to the Colorado Buffs.
Then we got Florida State, the number 4 against UNC Greensboro 13. Obviously, Scotty Barnes. Someone we talked about quite a bit. Big fans of over here.
There's no way I'm choosing Scotty Barnes to go down.
So yeah, like I think again, like I don't think Florida State will do that. I think they've been pretty decently strong this year.
Indeed. NC Greensboro, Isaiah Miller. Always have like a pretty strong squad. But yeah, Florida State just has the size. They have Scotty.
Florida State also 2-0 against Florida State 2-0 against top 25.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, again, well, other team 0-0. So I mean, again, you got to take what you can get. But yeah, I think Florida State takes it there. I think again, just athletically, kind of in a different ballpark. And then the next game is a number 6 against the play-in. We got BYU. They looked like they were very close to Gonzaga at a point in the West Coast Conference Finals. But then when you look at the final score, it was like a 20-point game. Yeah. But they had it for like a minute. It was like, oh my god. Within 5 minutes or like a few points. Obviously that didn't happen. But they are playing against the most, I guess, exciting or interesting play-in in the history of the NCAA play-ins.
Maybe one of the most blue blood play-ins.
Yeah, you got Michigan State or UCLA.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
It's apparently Michigan State is the favorite there. UCLA has been hot and cold. They've suffered some injuries as well. Michigan State has a player who's been on the NBA draft radar for a while, and Aaron Henry, who is a really interesting wing prospect and has been a lot of fun this year. Still feeling like BYU just has that squad to take them down. Alex Barcelo used to play for Arizona. They have 7'3" Matt Harms, who played for Purdue, leading the way. Brandon Everett is their other kind of scoring threat. They have a nice freshman, Caleb Lohner. I'm going with BYU to take down the playing game of the 11 seed.
Yeah, it's hard to bet against Tom H to the Izzo during March, but again, like BYU has like 10 guys that are averaging more like double-digit minutes, so pretty deep team. And again, like neither Michigan State or UCLA. If you're in this situation, obviously something wasn't necessarily clicking. Yeah. Weird, but great that they both get to say they were in the tournament this year. But yeah, I doubt either one is really moving along. And then in the 3-14, we got an interstate matchup between Texas and Abilene Christian. The only reason I know about Abilene Christian, of course, is because Mel Kiper,
Daniel Manning
from Abilene Christian in the NFL draft numbers of years ago. That's the only name Mel Kiper knew, and he said it a lot. So that's the only reason I know this school exists. But again, Texas, I think front court depth. And,
let's just chalk Texas in here.
Yeah,
let's move Texas there.
Yeah, I think I don't think that's going to be a thing. 7-10, we got UConn, Maryland. James Bouknight.
James Bouknight, indeed. Aaron Wiggins and Eric Ayala and Dante Scott for Maryland. Daryl Morcell won the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. And I'm kind of feeling like this may be the 10 spot. As well as UConn has played, and with them having the kind of star power guy, they do have RJ Cole as well. I'm kind of liking Maryland here. I thought Maryland put up a little bit of a fight. They almost kept Michigan State out of the tournament. So yeah, I'm rolling with Maryland, albeit they do have 13 losses.
And but again, so do a lot of teams. It's like
they had a really high strength of schedule. Yeah,
and we're definitely it's definitely a far ways away from the days of yesteryear with like Juan Dixon and Steve Blake. Yeah. Maryland's kind of not the basketball power that it once was. And then the 2-15, we got Alabama Iona. Rick Pitino, he's in the tournament. That is
back.
Fantastic story.
You know who's not in the tournament? The team Rick Pitino used to coach.
Also his son as well.
A couple teams Rick Pitino used to coach.
Also his son, who just got fired from Minnesota. But yeah, Iona. Oh man. It's like Rick Pitino, Tubby Smith, and Lon Kruger. They're the only coaches to take 5 different teams to the tournament. And then the last coach at Iona that ever won a tournament game was Jim Valvano. These are all super cool stories and statistics. But again, I think Alabama clicking at a pretty high level right now. So
yeah, Alabama. Herb Jones was the SEC Player of the Year. John Petty. Javon Quinterly, I believe, won the most outstanding player of the SEC tournament. He was a transfer from Villanova, really smooth point guard. Yeah, and they did lose. I believe he's out for the near future, but they lost an important freshman, and that was, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the name. Damn it, Josh Primo. Yeah, so Josh Primo might be out, but still some definite depth there, and shooting really well.
And Alabama also has the honor, along with Oregon, as being the only teams to win the conference in both football and basketball this year. Obviously, take a lot of those things with lots of grains of salt because lots of dominoes need to fall in a lot of different weird directions to make these statistics work. But it has Oregon in it, and it seems cool. I'll take it because obviously, football was obviously very interesting. But moving on, we got the South. We got Baylor for the first time ever. As a number one, they've had some years where they've been ranked very high at times, but they've never actually been higher than a 3 in the tourney. So Baylor's number one going against Hartford. I think this is Hartford's first time ever making the tournament.
Crazy.
I believe. So good.
That famous Hartford alumnus, Vin Baker. Don't believe he's on the team now.
I gotta say again, it's a great story for them. I hope they get as many t-shirts as they can. But yeah, I think Baylor is a very experienced team. So I will pencil them.
My favorite. Yeah, Jared Butler, Davion Mitchell, Maceo Teague, Matthew Mayer, Alan Flagler. Yeah, they're a really good team.
Yeah. So let's just say Baylor will do that one. 8-9, you got North Carolina, Wisconsin. Interesting spot for both of them because some of them have definitely had better years that they've been ranked, but obviously not the strongest year for either team.
Yes. I favor Wisconsin here.
Yeah.
And I know that North Carolina is a 1.5 point favorite. Wisconsin is, I believe their average starter is 30 years old. And maybe a little bit of hyperbole there. I'm thinking that advantage of experience and age really plays into their favor in this one.
And though they lost to pretty much like all the elite Big Ten teams, they did beat Loyola Chicago early in the year, and they're having a strong year there. But yeah, UNC right now, like it's a very all over the place team. They're third in rebounds per game, but they're 270th in 3-point percentage. So there's a lot of leeway going on there. Interesting enough, though, Roy Williams is 15-0 in the first round during his time at UNC, but rules and streaks are out there to be broken. So
indeed,
we will push.
This could be the year.
Yeah, so we'll push Wisconsin ahead there. And then the next matchup, you got Villanova Winthrop. Winthrop's a team I really knew very well back in the later mid 2000s because Oregon seemed to play them every single year during the winter break when I wasn't, I kind of had to give my tickets to other people because I was going to be away. But yeah, coming out of the Big South, there are super fast tempo, 25th in points per game against Villanova, a team that you really generally, I like Jay Wright. I usually kind of pull for their guard play. Colin Gillespie is out.
Good point.
He's not going to be in. Obviously, Jeremiah Robinson Earl still there, but I think they're
coming up. Justin Moore was dealing with an injury as well.
Yeah.
Was playing, but yeah, dealing with an injury.
Yeah, they're coming off a little bit of a break as well, so it's like a very interesting.
Well, they just got beat,
but I think they also had some COVID issues as well. Not that, or early in the year they had a pretty long.
Yeah.
It's like a 19-day, almost like a 3-week break. But yeah, the margin of error for them, I guess.
Yeah, you mean just in general? Yeah, they only played 22 games on the year. Yeah, and Winthrop is 23-1. They have played, I believe, nobody.
Their biggest wins were University of North Carolina, Greensboro, and Furman.
Yeah, it was pretty much just conference stuff. They do have a player named Chandler Vaudrin, who I've heard some things about. He's pretty much averaging like 13, 7, and 7, and is about 6'7". Nonetheless, I think this is looking like it's Nova's game.
And then in the 4-13, you got Purdue, North Texas. Purdue, they swept Ohio State, but they definitely lost to pretty much the majority of the other, again, like this kind of that elite echelon of Big Ten team.
They do have a Canadian, Jason. And I don't know are you aware of who their Canadian is?
I have no idea. I know they're out there.
His name is Zach Edey, and he actually played for the Northern Kings IMG Academy. 7'4".
Okay.
Yes. Now, not only is he 7'4", he's only averaging 14.7 minutes per game. In that time, 9 minutes, 4.5 or 9 points, 4.5 rebounds, and a block. They have Travion Williams, who was on the U19s a few years ago, that stacked team. Freshman Jaden Ivey, who had been at USA Basketball stuff. So yeah, they have a few players definitely of intrigue, and I think I'm taking them in this one.
Yeah, I think North Texas. I mean, I think they're supposed to be a defensive kind of team, trying to force bad shots, but again, pretty small, unimpressive sample size. Yeah. I guess, but I think like Purdue has proven that they can play.
Yeah.
With some real teams. So
they're also enormous.
We'll move Purdue along there. Then next up, we got Texas Tech, Utah State. Texas Tech this year, they got YouTube favorite Mac McClung.
Indeed, they do.
And then Utah State has a Mountain West Player of the Year, who's
Nibias Keita.
15 points a game, 10 rebounds.
Out of Portugal.
That is a pretty solid stat line. Yeah. To kind of anchor a pretty solid defense. Getting that. Dude.
Yeah, and they have some other interesting players too. They have Justin Bean, and they have.
You would want to get San Diego State this year as well.
Oh, and they have Marco Anthony, who I don't know if you had heard. He was in the news recently. He wears the number 44. Why would he wear the number 44, Jace?
Jerry West?
No.
No.
He's a fan of the 4-for-4 deal at Wendy's.
Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah, that's
yes. He's also a transfer from Virginia. But yeah, he's been a big player for them. Yeah, I was kind of leaning Utah State here. But yeah, Texas Tech has Terrence Shannon. They have Chris Beard as the coach. I'm going with them.
And moving on, we got the 3-4 team. We got Arkansas against Toothpaste Academy, Colgate.
Yes. Now Colgate it seems like for whatever reason, they do have they have some interesting shooters. Nelly Cummings.
They're only playing 15 games.
Yeah, I know.
And I think you got Moses Moody. You got some guys that we've.
I know. Like I want to really like Arkansas here, and I do. It's hard for me to choose against them. I just think they have some nice athletes, and some size, and so a little guard play too. Moses Moody's been so good. So I know that Colgate is like that. If you're going for the 14-3, it seems to be that Colgate is the favorite here. I'm sticking with Arkansas.
And then going on, we got the 7-10. We got Florida, Virginia Tech. Florida obviously has had an interesting year, losing Keontae Johnson, super early, 4 games into the season. So never quite really got back on the same sort of footing. And again, sort of lacking some real signature wins on the year. But again, Virginia Tech as well doesn't have a ton of huge signature wins either.
Yeah. For whatever reason, Florida also has Trey Mann, who's a legit NBA prospect. Grew from his freshman season, which was a little disappointing after he came in as a McDonald's All-American, but has that super quick release, has become better as a decision maker also. So yeah, he's firmly on the NBA draft radar. I'm going with Virginia Tech. I'm just feeling it. And yeah, if Keontae was playing, I think the season would have been very different for Florida just in general. But yeah, they have a player that was an all ACC consideration, Keve Aluma. Yeah, going with VT. I can't go totally chalk. That'd be crazy.
We gotta make so. And then coming in that 2-15, we got Ohio State or Roberts. So we will just move right on to the next region because Ohio State is.
No, we will not.
You think you're gonna stick up for Oral Roberts?
No, I'm not. It's not even sticking up for Oral Roberts. I have to mention a few players. I actually did research on these guys because they're interesting. I don't know if you know anything about Oral Roberts this year.
I know
they
enough.
actually have. Oh, you know about Oral Roberts as an institution.
Yeah.
They have a couple players who are kind of interesting. They have Max Asmus, who's the leading scorer in college basketball this year. And they have Kevin O'Banner. And yeah, so they have a couple guys. I just need to mention them. We can move on and also have them losing in the first round. That's fine. But just a couple players just to look out for from Oral Roberts.
And that's the last we will speak of them.
Yes. just needed to mention Asmus and O'Banner.
Moving on the Midwest, we got Illinois as the number 1 there against Drexel.
Yes.
Again, not seeing a lot of issue there for Illinois, just coming off the Big Ten championship. And again, in a very strong Big Ten, they've been a pretty great team all year. So not really seeing any issues going on in that 116. But again, we come back to an 8-9. We got Loyola Chicago, Georgia Tech.
Yeah. And Loyola Chicago has a guy who has been just like one of the more interesting men in college basketball for a while and was a part of that Loyola team that went far in the tournament. Ended up losing to Michigan in the Final Four. Cameron Krutwig, big dude, slow, not very athletic, but really knows how to play. Averages 15, 6.7 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal and a block. Yeah, he's just it seems like they have like a really nice team again, obviously getting that in the 8-9 game. Nonetheless, I am going to go with Loyola Chicago, but Georgia Tech, man, I felt like they kind of got screwed here.
Yeah, they've been playing pretty hot. I mean, Moses Ray was ACC Player of the Year.
Yeah,
they had some momentum going for them, but
Jose Alvarado was also Defensive Player of the Year in the ACC. So yeah, they had a couple guys. Oh, sorry, I think you cut out.
Oh, and I was gonna say as a senior. So yeah, it's a tough match for them. But yeah, a lot of people are really kind of high on Loyola Chicago's defense. I mean, they're really shutting some people down. They're averaging 55 points a game allowed, which is a pretty strong number. Obviously, they haven't played a ton of huge teams. They did lose to Wisconsin. They won twice, lost once with Drake.
Yeah.
But
that loss to Drake was a crazy close game. And then the game before they like drubbed Drake. So that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, but I guess they're known for this no middle, like on ball defense kind of thing. So yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting to see. And yeah, I think they definitely can take it to Georgia Tech. Yeah. And then in the 5-12, we have Tennessee against Oregon State, who came out of nowhere to win the Pac-12 tournament. And hopefully they'll go back to where they came from very quickly.
Yeah. Tennessee has 2 of the premier freshmen and potential lottery picks and Keon Johnson and Jaden Springer, who have just garnered more minutes throughout the year and have just gotten more comfortable as players in general. They are somewhat inconsistent offensively. They Springer and Johnson are just both really well known for their defense. They have Yves Pons, who's a tremendous defender. We're hoping John Fulkerson can play after he was elbowed in the face by Omar Payne during the SEC tournament. And then Victor Bailey has been kind of like a shooting spark plug for them throughout the year. And I'm going with them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that
I really like this Tennessee team. I feel like they've kind of underachieved, if anything. But yeah, I feel like Tennessee takes that one.
Yeah, I think like the Beavers really they got some very lucky shooting there going on in Vegas.
Yeah.
And I think Tennessee's got some pretty good depth. But moving on to the 4-13, we got Oklahoma State against another school I don't really care for talking about is Liberty.
Yes, that one I will go with you on because I don't know as much about Oral Roberts as I do about Liberty, and yeah, I'll go with you on that one. The thing we can mention is Oklahoma State does have some players that are playing pretty well, and they have the favorite for the number 1 pick in the NBA draft. If you haven't heard us talking about him, which we do nearly every episode,
So
Cade
yeah,
Cunningham. And Cade Cunningham, Big 12 Player of the Year. He's just been pretty much everything is advertised. The one thing is the negative assist to turnover ratio, but like, help him out, guys. Like,
yeah. Well,
the guy makes every pass. Help him out every once in a while. Yeah, he just sees like incredible amounts of defensive pressure. But yeah, I feel like they're going to take that matchup. And we move on to the 6-11.
Yeah, we got San Diego State, Syracuse. Syracuse led by coach's son, Buddy Bayham. They have 3 players averaging over 14 a game. But of course, San Diego State, always a super, super solid team. Great defense. Right now, they're shooting about 38% from 3 as a team. Pretty solid.
Yeah. I just like San Diego State, man. I've always been a fan of Mark Mitchell, and Jordan Shackle is a senior as well. I just have a feeling they're going to get it done.
Yeah, and I think Syracuse is kind of lacking the length that like really makes the zone insanely successful. So yeah, I think definitely San Diego State comes through over there. In the 3-14, you got West Virginia, Morehead State. Eddie, any trepidation for West Virginia?
I don't. I'm a little surprised they were 3 seed over like a team like Oklahoma State, who had beaten them twice in the last little while. But yeah, like while I think they're slightly overranked, they have guys like Miles McBride, Derek Culver, Taz Sherman. Yeah, they're a solid team, and I wish I knew a little bit more about Morehead State, but yeah, it doesn't seem like they're giving me too much trepidation there.
Yeah, and then 7-10 Clemson Rutgers, interesting matchup because you look at both teams, are like neither one of them shoots the ball particularly well.
Yeah,
but one of them has to score more points than the other and win the game.
Yeah.
But I know for Rutgers, like I don't think they've made the tournament in quite some time, so this is big thing for them.
They only got 1 shot.
Yeah, any kind of.
They also have little Jacob Young.
Oh, sweet. Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, that's a blast from
They have Ron Harper Jr.
I know Ron Harper Jr. is there, but they're
fell off a little bit, but we had him as an All-American early in the year. I want to go with Clemson here. I'm gonna go with Rutgers.
Well, let them have it. They don't make it too often. And then Houston, Cleveland State. I'm guessing we're not seeing any issue going on here.
No, I as much as I'd love to pick a 15 over a 2, it's safe to say I just think Houston kind of has it here.
And I think again, Calvin Sampson, one of those coaches who'd lose his.
That too. Yeah, they have some really nice depth. They have Quentin Grimes, who was a Wooden Award finalist. Tremont Mark has always been a guy that I've had my eye on early in the year as a freshman. Jean Giroux too has been playing really well lately. Yeah, I'm going with Houston here.
Cool. And then now we move back. We are in the round of 32. So a lot of teams.
Yes. So Gonzaga versus Missouri is what we have here, Jace. Let's just go with the Bulldogs.
Yeah, still feeling the Zags here. I really don't know who's going to match them. We got Gauchos, Virginia.
Where are you feeling?
Are
you ready to get crazy with the Gauchos?
I would love to. I just it's hard to
I know Virginia's just so solid.
Yeah, they're just like they lost some pretty bad games, but yeah, they're usually a pretty consistent team.
Yeah, and they have the shooting. Yeah, and they have some size. Yeah, I'll go for Virginia.
And then SC Kansas.
Yes. I'm going with USC. I think USC is going to take it. I just feel like the Jayhawks, if they really do lack that depth, then USC can take advantage.
Yeah, no, definitely. Again, having a player as capable as Evan Mobley definitely can cause some nightmares for a lot of teams.
Yes. Now, here's the one where I have to do some convincing. I think I was going to beat Oregon.
Yeah. I think it's going to be very difficult for the
I hate it. I don't want it to happen. But yeah, like Oregon has just struggled so much with size. It would be a different thing if they had N'Faly Dante.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, and like any depth. I think we thought we were going to have more depth than we actually have had. And we thought certain players were going to make the progression that I don't think they have. I do love the 4 6'6" guys and the 6'5" starting lineup. That's been great since it's been instituted. But to me, Iowa does the things that we're good at better than Oregon.
With a center, with the best center.
Not only a center, the college player of the year.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like as in addition to that, yeah, it's gonna be tough for the Ducks, obviously. Yeah. Ducks, but yeah, I think
it's interesting because it seems like they at least like don't kill Oregon versus Iowa on this bracket predictor, but they do have Iowa as the favorite.
Yeah.
So
as most likely.
Moving back on to the East, we have Michigan against LSU. Is LSU pulling a second round upset? I'm gonna go with yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think
losing Isaiah Livers is gonna be a killer.
I think Michigan's a team you could, out of all the number ones, I think Michigan's a team you could do it against.
Yeah. And Florida State versus Colorado, actually pretty damn close.
And you'd have to go against your boy Scotty.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah, Florida State. Moving on, and then we got the Byu Texas.
I'm going with Longhorns. So I don't know if we mentioned this, but Longhorns 3 really solid guards, all upperclassmen. We have Matt Coleman, Andrew Jones, Courtney Ramey, and then 3 great big men too.
Yeah, I think
in Kai Jones. Well, Kai Jones comes off the bench, surprisingly enough, even though he's, I think, the most intriguing NBA prospect. Greg Brown, the crazy athlete, one of those stretch bigs who like either is shooting the 3 or finishing at the basket. No real middle game, no real dribbling craft, and very little passing. And then Jericho Sims, who's transformed his body like tremendously. I really like this Texas team, so yeah, I'm going with them over BYU.
And then we got Maryland.
Yeah, I'm going with Bama. Yeah. I think Bama. They have some senior leadership. They have shooting. I'm going with them.
Moving on to the South, Baylor, Wisconsin.
Go with Baylor, and I think just ridiculous guard depth, and yeah. I meant to say Adam Flagler earlier, and I apologize for that.
We'll forgive. And then Villanova, Purdue in that 4-5.
Yeah, go with Purdue.
Take the Big Ten there. And then Texas Tech, Arkansas, 6-3.
I am going with the Razorbacks. I don't understand why so many people are down on them. I just think they're a pretty good team. So, yeah, going with Arkansas.
Got Ohio State, Virginia Tech, 2-10.
I am going to go against Ohio State. I'm going with Virginia Tech.
With the Hokies, okay.
Yeah. I feel like there's some destiny there.
And then you got an inter-Illinois matchup here in the Midwest. You got Illinois against Loyola, Chicago.
Going with the Illini.
Why would Loyola Chicago like to take it to them? But I think Illinois is pretty strong.
And this is damn close. Like, this is the matchup that everybody wants to see.
Well, this has probably the most good and future NBA guys.
This has 3 lottery picks right there.
Yeah.
And I am going with Tennessee. I just feel like they're the more complete team. Granted, Cade Cunningham could easily make me eat my words because you give him the ball at the end of the game and likely good things are going to happen. He's won so many games for them this year. He could do that against a Tennessee team that does at times struggle to get offense. I just think they're a little bit more of a complete team, and I'm going with them.
And then we got San Diego State, West Virginia.
For whatever reason, I'm not all in on West Virginia.
Well, it's a different West Virginia type team. It's like more offense and defense, which is like kind of like the opposite of what Huggins usually has gotten going.
I'm going with San Diego State.
And then at the bottom of the bracket there, you got Houston, Rutgers.
I just think Houston has a little bit too much depth for Rutgers, as much as Jacob Young probably wants to get back at his dad's alma mater.
Yeah, most likely not gonna happen. Again, I think like inconsistency shooting is definitely gonna be fairly painful. Then we
dad's alma mater, and then Jessup played there too, his brother.
Briefly before going to Oregon and being
very brief.
But so moving on to the 16.
Sweet 16.
We are in the West. Gonzaga, Virginia.
Gonzaga.
Yeah, I'm not gonna debate you there. I think the Zags are just like such a deep squad. Yeah. And then the other matchup we got going on is Iowa. So you got Luka Garza, USC, got Evan Mobley. So you got like two big guys.
I just think Iowa has a better team.
Buttheads, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going with them.
Yeah, I think Iowa's just.
I know Iowa's like one of those teams that people kind of like favor or lose early on, but yeah, I think they're an Elite Eight team.
And that's where we got them going. And then you got in the East, we got LSU, Florida State.
This is going to be a tough matchup for Florida State, but I'm rolling with them.
Rolling with the Noles, rolling with Scotty.
Indeed.
And then you got the 2-3. You got Texas, Alabama.
I am going with Tejas.
You think front court?
Yeah, I think the guard play too. That'll be a great matchup if it comes down. Also, like that's an awesome one in Sweet 16.
Oh yeah, that'd be super good game. And then you got Baylor, Purdue.
Going with Baylor.
Definitely the experience.
The guard depth there is just fantastic, and like Baylor is I think the rightful number 2 team in the nation.
And then you got Arkansas, Virginia Tech, 3-10.
And yeah, I'll go with Arkansas also. As much as I'd like to pick a lower seed upset there.
Moving on to the Midwest, Illinois, Tennessee.
Illinois is so good, man. They have Io. They have Kofi Coburn.
Yeah.
Andre Curbelo has been so damn good in the minutes he's played also as a freshman. Have another good freshman, Adam Miller. This is a tough one. I can't pick against Illinois here.
I think Illinois riding off that Big Ten there.
Yeah.
It's gonna be pretty tough. And then down at the bottom there, you got Houston, San Diego State. It's tough.
I'm going with San Diego State just because I want that. No, I'm going with Houston. I'm wimping out. Oh God, I hate my brackets so much.
Cold feet there, but yeah. So we got the Houston there. Now we are at the Elite Eight. You got to come out of the West region. We have Gonzaga and Iowa.
Yes, I'm going with Gonzaga.
Go roll with the Zags.
Yeah.
I think I was a good team, but I think again Gonzaga.
Yeah.
At all levels, that pretty high there, and then for the East, Florida State, Texas.
They already played each other too. Gonzaga and Iowa.
Yeah, with Gonzaga obviously winning, it's being undefeated, and then so Florida State, Texas, to come out of the East.
I'm going with Texas. Yeah, I feel like Texas is the team out of the East.
I think Shaka's also a good great coach as well. So I think this is
For
definitely
sure.
awesome. Would be awesome to see him there. And then you have Baylor and Arkansas.
I'm going to go with Baylor.
Just keep going with that depth.
Yeah.
At Baylor, and then Illinois, Houston.
Oh, God. This is like the hardest one for me.
Yeah,
I hate having 3 number ones. I hate it. I'm doing it.
I know it's Io and Kofi. Like, yeah,
this is like not a year it's going to happen, but yeah, like they are like. I think Illinois is just a legit, really good team, and as good as Houston is, yeah, like I feel like Illinois just has a little bit of that firepower. Like having Io and Kofi come back, they've just been so damn good. And I think they have depth that's going to be pretty impressive even in the NCAA tournament.
So now we got our 2 Final Four matchups. We got Gonzaga and Texas.
Going with Gonzaga to go to the NCAA finals. And then I will take
Baylor.
The Bears. This is the matchup we all want to see.
It is.
We all want to, like for the longest time, the Baylor didn't lose until they had a long layoff from COVID-19. And they did lose in the Big 12 championship as well. But yeah, I think I know I'm crossing my fingers. And it was supposed to happen. This matchup was supposed to happen.
It was scheduled.
Yes. And they deprived us of this matchup, of the insane shooting and depth of the Baylor guards versus just the all-around insanity of talent that Gonzaga possesses. Yeah, I'd like to see it. And I am rolling with the team that I feel has just been the best team this year, and that's the Gonzaga Bulldogs.
And that's the first pulling this off, you're the first undefeated team in quite some time to do it. I think I forget what year. Well, it's like since like the 80s at least, or not. I think it was 1976 or something like that. It was like maybe like Indiana or something. Like there hasn't been a team that's gone undefeated because all those like. Remember Stanford was undefeated once during the regular season. Like there's been teams that have gotten to the Memphis, I believe, was undefeated the one year as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be pretty historic. And then if it were to happen, it finally gets that for Mark Few, checks that off for Mark Few, because Gonzaga, they went from this program that used to be, seated a little lower and then kind of make some upsets. Then they got to this point where they were getting consistently ranked, a 1, 2, 3 seed, but still never really got that far. They finally made the finals against North Carolina a few years back, but again, never crossed that threshold, and be pretty awesome.
It would be great. It would be absolutely fantastic if Mark Few finally had an NCAA tournament championship. And I think this is just a really special team. One thing I will say, the best team in the NCAA does not necessarily always win the NCAA tournament. This is the tournament. It's a grind, man. And yeah, like it's great if a team does win it and they are the champion that year. But yeah, like I just think Gonzaga and Baylor have been 2 historically good teams over this last little while. And that would just be fantastic if we could see them play in the championship. But at the same time, expect a lot of madness, a lot more than what we were willing to predict.
Yeah. It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to convincingly say like you're gonna, bet on that with like certainty. So yeah, definitely there is gonna be some craziness.
Yeah.
And so definitely, that's the most exciting part. Is just really, and I love that they changed this a few years ago when they went with when CBS and Turner partnered, because like way back it used to just be CBS. They showed you whatever game they showed you, but now it's like it's awesome because you get to watch like every single game. Like you just have your like 4 channels you're flipping through between CBS, TNT.
It's great, yeah, and the way they stagger them too.
Yeah, so like everything's really set up for like great viewing experience. They're showing you those tickers, so you're hopping to any hot game that's going on. If the game you're currently really focused on isn't exciting and can kind of bounce around. So definitely really time to see how many hours you can clock of watching.
Yeah.
And definitely when it's all said and done, who do you think is going to be, based on Gonzaga keeping this, getting through the tournament, most outstanding player?
I'll go with Corey Kispert. He's been that guy for them. As great as Drew Timme and Jalen Suggs are, and I think Joel Ayayi has been really important also. But yeah, I'll go with Corey Kispert.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it'd be super, super exciting to see the Zags take it. But if not, I will settle for the Ducks. So, again, who knows what happens. Yeah. That's why we got to watch.
We're always cheering for the Ducks here. I know it may be annoying to most who watch the show, but yeah, just also want to shout out my good friend Sonny for this amazing Memphis Hustle gear that he gifted me. And yeah, that's just something I greatly appreciate. It's something that I love. And the last thing that I would like to shout out is my nephew, Andrew Visenberg, turns 1 year old tomorrow. Andrew, happy birthday, and much congratulations. Of course, the first birthday, always the congratulations goes to the parents. So Jen Visenberg, Jason Visenberg, congratulations on 1 year as parents to my wonderful nephew, Andrew Visenberg.
Well, thank you. And we're very excited because this is his first March Madness. And it's funny because last year when he was born, I was very excited because I was getting all this time off work and I was going to be at home all day and I was going to just, take care of him and watch basketball. And unfortunately, we got to watch basketball, not live basketball. We watched all the games that CBS was playing from like the 80s and like these classic championship games where I knew the results. But yeah, it's very, very exciting for him to get his first.
Or they had the 3-point line and
yeah,
lots of those.
Yeah, there's a lot of those games where you're like, oh, how come this is not in HD? You're like, oh, that didn't exist then. But super excited for him to get his first March Madness under his belt. And then, who knows, in a couple of years, he'll be up here picking out a bracket with us, probably based on mascots or
I'm guessing by next year. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm guessing we could do something. We could definitely do something, like they have like the, the octopus pick the teams or something like that. Yeah.
By next year, he's going to know the names of all the schools. Like, you have no idea the scouting masterclass that I'm going to give this child.
That is true. We're looking forward to getting him up and blogging, and then obviously, Pro Insight might have some stories featuring him. He could even be a player writer as he writing about himself as he grows in his game. But
you know it.
And then peaking at 5'5", but it's super exciting.
Hey, he'll have all the tools to analyze the game though.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I think that's one of the things I always look forward to the most too. It's just like teaching him about basketball, let him learn the game, and hopefully not learn as many swear words as quickly as I think he would based on my current watching of basketball, but that's what it's for. But again, thank you guys so much for checking this out and listening to our tourney picks. We hope you guys watch as much basketball as we are going to, and we will definitely probably have some walkbacks. Probably, I don't know what the right word is for how we'll feel.
Next week, I think you'll know that we're going to go over the tournament a little bit. We will have some NBA draft content coming for you really soon, so stay tuned to Viseland. Thank you so much for going over the NCAA tournament with us. If you want to hit us up, we would love comments. We would love questions, anything like that. We also would love reviews, likes, subscriptions. That helps out Viseland so much. It helps out Jason and I. And, we're just trying to talk about basketball and kind of build a community here. Email us, viselandpod@gmail.com. You can follow him at Jay Visenberg on all platforms. You can follow me at NBA Draft Mikey V on Twitter, at Mike MICL Visenberg on Instagram. I swear one day I'll change it. But if you look up my name, I'm not hard to find.
I know that's the thing about our last name. It's you're not going to find 1,000 of them out there.
Exactly.
But thank you guys so much for checking us out, and we can't wait to connect next week to talk more tournament and then lead on into that NBA draft. So thank you guys so much, and we'll catch you all next week.